Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us here on this Tuesday edition of Talk Today as we get things on the way, talking about the Older Persons Council. 1 o'clock, get a chance to focus with our good friends on the health ministry and public health and hopefully MRCU and talk about dengue fever. So it's not like jungle fever, but it's almost the same. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And off the bat, I want to say a special thanks to Raymond Singh. Yes, he, like our wonderful sales team, are diligent and dedicated and very determined to make sure that your message reaches the widest possible audience. That's why you advertise here at Radio Cayman. But from time to time, man, he is so eager and willing. And he just slides right down into our chair here and be a part of what we have on Talk Today. So yesterday, he gave me a chance to I could go fishing, do my hair, maybe went to the spa. Who knows what I did, but that was our way, so good for that. But as we talk about the Older Persons Council, some of you may look on our YouTube channel and see this gentleman and go, wow, I remember when he used to teach me in primary school. Or he might be a little bit more advanced and think, just the other day I used to see him. Always an educator, always an educator. Mr. Herbert Crawford. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
It's a pleasure always to have a chance to chat with you. And what it reminds me is that if you're an educator, you never age. Your students may grow up. Hopefully, they may become responsible adults, but the teachers always stay the same, huh?
Well, it's because of the students. They keep you young and engaged.
Is that what it is?
And we never age.
Never age, huh? Like Christmas beef, always engaged. How we do it. But yeah. I was looking at the month of October for all these years, and I must share that the Department of Children and Family Services, Ms. Cassandra and her team in particular, Ms. Jasmine and them, they ensure that as our community should every day show a great deference to our elderly. They dedicate, like they do for our children, they do for our elderly, making sure that we not only recognize them, but start to gradually appreciate the importance of showing that deference. And now, with legislation in place, the formation of the Older Persons Council, I find it challenging to use the word persons, but I probably never get there deliberately. So, but that's not because of a lack of respect. Just that I don't think it's it's an archaic term. But our elderly, our seniors, and the fact that the council, we seek their counsel. There's a council for which they can give their counsel as well. So good things for a country that is willing to be inclusive and willing to embrace.
I think it's a good thing, and it's good that government has decided to recognize the worth and the value of that population who have spent decades making contributions to these islands, and it's only fair and right that they are being honored, and it's the right thing to do, and I'm grateful to government for having established the Older Persons Council, so that there is a council that can focus specifically on the needs of the elderly or the older person, as we are called today, and I'm happy to be an older person.
And that is something that as I look at, and I would like us as a people to look specifically. Let's start with our policymakers or parliamentarians. Some of them, we've got to stop and think, they actually would qualify
as older persons as
yeah,
well. Mm-hmm.
because of the date of their birth, but they're actively engaged. They're certainly very, very strongly motivated intellectually. They're very energetic, not unlike the other elderly in our communities who are volunteering, with their schools, not just because they were former educators or educators. Once an educator, always an educator.
Always an educator.
Yeah, but they're in their churches. They're doing their schools, in some capacity. After school programs. They're in their sports organizations. They're in their civic organizations or service clubs. They're still giving, not because they're retired. They're still very much actively engaged, either in their professions, or in their partnerships, or in their own sort of commercial endeavors that they're responsible for their employees. Just because you reach a certain age
doesn't mean that you're dead and dying.
Not at all.
But you still have a life to live. You still have major contributions to make. Dwayne, one of the things I enjoy doing most as an older person,
Mm-hmm.
Almost every Saturday, a group of us men, we meet at one of our older persons' home and we play dominoes. And I'm proud to say that the oldest member there is 104 years of age. And then you have people in their 90s, in their 80s, in their 70s, and in their 60s. So you have that age range. But people still in their right minds, fluid, can think, can remember how to play the game. And for a long time, the older persons have been more or less, quote unquote, been neglected and taken for granted. And it's as if, well, once you reach a certain age, you're written off, you can no longer do this or you can't do that. And more, we see how the older person is so engaged.
And as I listen to you, I say this, again, not to offend the sensibilities of politicians, policymakers, or anybody else. It is to, as you shared, to draw us into a strong cognizance of the importance of not just being respectful, but being inclusive. And not just being inclusive, but being very deliberate in ensuring that the members of our society, our elderly members in particular, are engaged, feel a sense of great safety and security. And I was thinking of today's discussion. One of the things I wanted to ask is that I deliberately reached out to a few, I guess, I don't want to say call the family and friends, but people that you know a little bit better than you may know others, and recognize that the elderly and their families are how do you put it? They tend to be much more active, and because of that level of activity, you don't see them as being quote unquote old. And the more engaged and involved they are with the family, the better they are in the quality of life, the dominoes that they play, the travel that they take, the outings, whether it's for dinner or otherwise. Now, it may be that it takes a little while longer to get in and out of the car, but they still can go, thank God. And so I was asking two of the individuals in particular, those we identified, we do that with them. We show a level of patience and sort of accommodation, and then we compare it to some here who don't have that same level of family involvement, the same level of constant support and supervision and interaction. And it's like anything, you don't water your tree for the longest time,
it's going to die.
Yeah, you don't exercise and use that muscle, it may and it's the same thing. So with that in mind, what is it that we can as a society do to make sure that we see active, proper activity, safe activity for all of us, for our students, to our elderly, but our elderly in particular?
I'm going to give you an experience I had when I visited Hong Kong a few years ago. In every district of Hong Kong, and Hong Kong has over 10 million people, there is a park. Wherever you live, in every district, there is a park. It's not an Olympic-sized park, but there's a park, and there are activities for the young and for the elderly, and it was amazing to see how involved the older persons were in the park doing their tai chi and different exercises, and they're walking around, and you know, in Asia they have a very big aging population. The fact is that they provide their older persons with the type of activities that enhances movement, and movement is very important. And whether you are young or whether you're old, exercise, movement is very, very important to our continued growth and development. And using myself as an older person, I'm very actively engaged. You know, I get up 5:30 in the morning, I go walking, I do my farming, I use my hoe, my machete, everything, and apart from doing all these other things. And I'm here sitting with you today. You know, I have done my 70 years and 10, but I don't feel that I'm at that age. I feel that I'm a younger, older person, if there is such a thing.
There is such a thing. And maybe when we come back from our break, perhaps those who are listening can share their thoughts with us if they choose. But if you would, allow us to ask of you, maybe use some of the things that are transpiring globally that you see in your travels, some of the vision that you have. If you'll permit me, maybe I'll share with you what I think would be nice for our society to be embraced. Well,
absolutely.
Mr. Herbert Crawford, you know, he's in the studio. Man, you get a chance to benefit from it. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
As a Caymanian, it's very important to me that projects like this are thought of thoroughly before continuing.
My question is, do we need it? And I have not yet been fully convinced that we need it, nor have I been fully convinced that we don't need it. So
what guarantee do we have that these ships are going to continue to come?
Please make the right decision.
Please don't let the catchy songs overturn you. Please support the referendum. Please ensure that you are supporting sustainable tourism, not just money-making tourism.
If the project plans have changed, even though it might be insignificant on paper, it's going to be significant for the environment.
They need to release official information, official facts.
That's where I am right now. I want to know, I want more information on do we need it.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
The Pirates Week National Song Competition is back Saturday, November 9th. This exciting cultural event showcases the best talent in the Cayman Islands with $10,000 in cash to be won. If you've got the lyrical and vocal skills, visit piratesweekfestival.com to enter today. Entry deadline Friday, 18th October. The Pirates Week National Song Competition is sponsored by AI Rentals, Ace Hardware, the Ministry of Culture, the Tourism Attraction Board, and the Cayman Music and Entertainment Association. This ad is brought to you by Radio Cayman.
Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane hits. Debris includes roofing materials, downed tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles to the front of the property or at a side that is easily accessible to collection trucks. Debris must be placed in a location that will not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For more post-hurricane waste management tips, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us in the studio. Mr. Herbert Crawford, one of the members of the Older Persons Council. Quick update, 1 o'clock. We're expecting to have a discussion on the dengue fever, and we would welcome, hopefully, reps from the health ministry, perhaps MRCO, perhaps even public health. But hey, that's going to transpire hopefully shortly. But now, as you were sharing, Mr. Crawford, the notion that in some societies we see a very deliberate, entrenched public display of respect for our elderly. The families are able to, without question, know that as their parents, their in-laws age, they can still stay within it. So their laws for planning permission of getting the rooms in the homes to accommodate are there. Parks are available for public exercise and activity. In the Cayman context, is it that we need to look at this more holistically, more inclusively, so that we can have these things as part of our own psyche, our own ethos?
I think so, Dwayne. If you really look at our context, we have very little for the older person, right? We have the various playing fields. We even have some private places with swimming pools, that sort of thing. But what do we have in place for the older person? Where can you go and really socialize? Where can you go if you want to go to the gym? I would love to go to the gym, but it's going to cost me to pay a membership. And once you're a retiree, you don't have all that excess cash to pay for that. So is there a place that we could go and somebody can assist us? Because the older you get, it's the more activity, is more you need to become more actively engaged and involved, right? So we look around, we have fields in districts, but they're still not geared towards meeting the needs of the older person. So I think, yes, we need to become more inclusive, not excluding anyone. You have people, older persons who might be in a wheelchair. There's something that person can do. You have persons who are not as mobile as other persons. So how do we help them? How do we look at their needs and meet their needs? And we have made a start in the sense that you go to the hospital, for example, and there are parking places for the older persons, right? Or you go to some banks, it's there. One of the things I enjoy is that you go to the licensing department and you get a ticket, and you wait. The waiting is very minimal, and that is good. We need to promote more of those things that the older person can enjoy, because I think we deserve it.
I would ask, and it's certainly not intended to be a rhetorical question, but I don't necessarily would ask you to answer just yet if you're not so inclined, but for us as a public start to listen. We're seeing increasingly that there are many jurisdictions that are considering whether or not there should be a retirement age, if that is a form of discrimination. You go to the banks here will say, well, if you're 60, 65 and you don't qualify for lending, or if you're a certain age, you only got X years before you hit this target, so therefore your mortgage can't be amortized longer than this period, and the like. But beyond that, the notion that you reach a certain age and you have, not that you want to, not that you have an option, you're obligated to now retire. You're no longer able to work unless you fall within one or two exceptions and the like. But more so, this idea that within our community we're looking at age and we're seeing it as this thing that labels you. Does that create just within the person who's saying, well, oh boy, I could be reaching this now, and consciously or unconsciously they start to think of themselves less than?
I have heard many younger persons who are approaching that age saying exactly what you're saying there, because it seems to become a stigma to be aging, to be an older person. I retired when I was 61. Maybe I was forced to retire at that time. I probably had the option to go on for a little longer, but I didn't like the sort of climate and whether or not, yes, you should go at 60 or you should go at 65. Now, today I'm 70, proud to be 70, and I'm working probably harder than I worked before. I'm engaged in the in the community, in my church. I'm a marriage officer. I'm a farmer. I do community work. I have never been so engaged. And I feel as if right now, at my age, I could still have a full-time job in the office, making a valuable contributions. And I know many older persons. I had my neighbor. He's now 91. When he was in his 80s, he would say to me, he called me Butty, you know, even if I could go to the office and do a bit of filing.
Yeah.
And I felt it for this older person, because here he was expressing a need. This is something that I can do. But who is going to employ a 80-odd-year-old, right? I'm glad, like in the States, you work until you really retire. I have a sister who lives there. She's in her 70s, 77, and she's still working in the classroom.
Is it, though, that on one hand, we don't provide for those who would like to have the option? We talk about it being the golden years, and yet many financially can't, even if they wanted to. They're forced to work because they still have the resources. Then there are those who would like to be able to have more time on their hands, to travel, to volunteer, to exercise, to do the things that they wish they could have had time, but for having to work. So to strike that balance between preserving our health, so that when we get to a certain stage, we have the financial wealth, we have the physical wealth, we have the mental wealth, that we can do these things. You're at an age where you have a life experience, you've worked in a particular industry, you've gained certain insights and knowledge. That's a wealth of knowledge that could be very beneficial to a community.
For example, I agree with you. For example, I'm an educator by profession, and I I'm still passionate about education. And sometimes you hear of the challenges, and I know there are challenges in our schools. I know the teachers are having a lot of challenges. I know students are not what they are supposed to be in terms of their behavior. And when I look back on the 70s, when I started here, we had parental support. You know, it was the home, the school, and the church working together to promote education. Now the landscape has changed. Point is, those of us who were in the system before and are now retired and have this wealth of experience, that is one area the government should be looking at to see how they can hone the skills of these experienced educators, how they can put them in the classrooms to help those who might be struggling. Because not only are some teachers struggling, I would say, but the students are also struggling. And then the demands that are made on teachers' time. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have somebody you can talk to and say, well, am I doing this right? Can you help me? Wouldn't that make a big difference?
If I may ask, in this community in particular, do you think that we as a society show, without any sort of, second guessing, immediately show strong respect for our elderly? Or is it, and be as candid as you feel?
I think since over the past maybe 5 years that there has been more focused on the older persons. I want to believe that people are a bit more respectful, because they now understand better that the older person, you don't have to write off that person. That person is of value, have self-worth, have dignity. Those persons have contributed much to society. And as a result of where we are now, it is because of what those persons did in the past that you have a foundation to build on. So at one period in history, I believe, yes, the older persons were neglected, forgotten. But I believe there is a different focus now. And thankfully, it has taken years before this recognition has come. And I'm happy that we have made a start.
We're speaking to Mr. Herbert Crawford. Sir, we do have a caller joining us. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good
Good afternoon to your panel. I know that gentleman there, you know.
Yes, sir.
I know that gentleman very well. He has some very good fruits and good stuff.
Is that so?
I want to ask you anything about the...
Yes, they're talking about old people. We're not old and we're not cold. We can do better than some of these young people.
Thank you.
Some of these young people that stealing and robbing. We need to do something about that because it's very ridiculous. Very ridiculous now. Our country is going from bad to worse. So we need some of the older people. I think we need, even those people who work on holiday. I don't know why they hire those people back, but the people can still work. Especially West Bay people. Anyway, I just called to say hi to my friend on the panel and you, Mr. Dwayne, because when I call him with positive stuff. I don't even know negative stuff unless somebody trouble me. Or somebody step on my toes. You understand what I'm saying? Or mash my corn. Anyway, have a blessed day, Mr.
Blessings to you, man.
Thank you, sir, for calling. And I agree with you that still have all of these folks who made so much contribution, who are ready to make further contributions, so they should be given the opportunity to do so.
Okay. If I might, we'll take a quick break, but when we come back, you reference maybe volunteering in the school, perhaps even being paid for some of their services, perhaps in the office environment. Would you, if you willing, share with us other ways in which we can engage our elderly, help them to feel more valued, feel a greater sense of self-worth, independence? What can we do more? What is it that we're doing that we can do maybe better or more of in order to allow our elderly to feel that sense of worth, value, respect, independence, that thing that we all want, the sense of dignity, right? All right. That's our discussion. So we invite you to join us after we come back.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
Does your behavior influence investment decisions? What is the role of the brain in financial decision making? This is what you will find out and much more as Talk Today goes on the road this Thursday, October the 17th at the Ritz-Carlton for the Cayman Investment Forum in partnership with the CFA Society, Cayman Islands. Tune in 12 till 2 p.m. as we bring you highlights from the guest speakers of this year's Cayman Investment Forum this Thursday, October the 17th.
The government claims the cruise berthing facility won't cost us a penny. It will be paid for by the cruise partner who use it, not by our people or our government.
The fact is, you will be paying.
Because government is going to give the consortium development team, led by Royal Caribbean and Carnival, a portion of the cruise revenue that is currently being banked by government.
What's more, we will be repaying them
$450 million.
$250 million more
than what the facility even costs.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating?
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
Mark down the date of Saturday, November 2nd. Breeze Fusion 2019.
Are you ready? Yeah.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run. Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCVO.
Yes, Cayman Islands, it's back. Your chance to be healthy. Your chance to give back.
Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studio.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K Walk Run.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Opportunity to continue speaking with Mr. Herbert Crawford as a member of the Older Persons Council. And as we not just look at this month of the elderly, as it were, but hopeful as a society continue to not just show healthy respect, but to share that we have to keep them actively engaged. Wouldn't it be nice if it's your preference to go fishing, to take a swim, or as we say, take a dip in the sea? Maybe it's sailing, maybe it's a game of dominoes, maybe it's an evening out, I don't know, watching a movie or some production at a Harkwheel or somewhere in a school hall. If our elderly don't have the access, if they don't feel that they're welcome, what if it was us? Would we want that? So I was asking prior to the break, are there things that we could be doing more of, things that we need to be doing just to begin with, to get an active, engaged elderly population?
Just let us take this month, for example, the numerous activities that have been planned. Older persons can go to the gym, they can do island tour, and many other activities that are planned. Now you have older persons with different skills that could be utilized. For example, I mentioned about those of us who have been educators. We could be utilized in the schools. You have people who are good with their hands making stuff. They could also be invited into schools to demonstrate their craft. You have churches, they have youth groups and Sunday schools. How can we engage the older persons to become a part of these groups? We hear that young people will say they don't have a lot of things to do. But if we want to bridge a gap between the young and the old, I think the best thing to do is to bring them together where the younger can learn from the older, so that some of the traditions that we have had in the past, we don't lose them.
Mm-hmm.
But those traditions can be continued. I think, when you're having different events, older persons can be asked to take on responsibilities. You have a large number of different boards that older persons could sit on, because they still are in their rightful minds. But you know what? Once you leave out of the public domain, and you become a private citizen in your home, you are locked away, you are forgotten, when you could be harnessing that wealth of knowledge and experience in a positive way.
As I listen to you, recognizing too that sometimes not just our young people, but sometimes us who may be 30, 40, 50 even, I'm going to say, may not fully appreciate the experience of the 60-year-old, the 70-year-old, 80-year-old, and 90-year-old, of seeing what life was like through that lens of human history, and not just the experiences, not just the challenges, but then are we, if I may, from the educational perspective, we're into a classroom and you have a teacher, whether newly qualified teacher or whether it's one that just because of the shared demands of the classroom, if you had an elderly retired educator come in a couple hours a day, a couple times a week, whatever it is that's appropriate, would that dynamic aid the students not only in enriching their lives and education, but would there be a greater sense of deference from the youth in particular towards the elderly, in that I saw a documentary recently where I should probably look at it again, because I'm wondering if the intent wasn't to be malicious. Honestly, it was sort of spun as a documentary, and the filmmaker was showing where these young people in this particular community had little or no appreciation or respect for the elder, the way they spoke to them, the way they would just castigate. And it had me to think, are we that way in our society? Are there other societies where this is the norm? I would like to think that we are not like that we see the elderly, we stop and we say yes mom and no mom, but we do more than that. Now, I'm fearful that maybe that's not how we are, that we may be like that documentary and not be as respectful and not as polite and not as accommodating.
I think things have changed, and things are changing. Let me just use this. On Sunday, I taught a Sunday school class. I still teach. And these were middle school age, right? And I sat there with them for 45 minutes. And I was able to share some of my travels with them to bring context to the story that I was doing on Sunday morning. You know, at the end of the lesson, they really did not want to go back to join church. One young man, I asked him to pray, and he prayed, and he said, Lord, I really enjoyed this lesson, being here. I consider myself, they are young people. I'm an older person, but I was still able to relate to them based upon my experiences that I had in the past. You use the classroom situation there, where a young teacher with a class, and all that teacher needs sometimes is that extra support.
Yeah.
That person is just coming out, doesn't know everything, just that extra voice, that support, and it makes a world of difference. And I think children, by and large, today, most of them are respectful, but you have those who defy you and will challenge you, but thank God you still have those who will respect you as an older person.
But even those who challenge and defy, perhaps just a little bit of nurturing, a little guidance, a little bit of instruction. And as you were sharing, think of instances where, whether it's through travel, for instance, you're able to say to someone, maybe you're reading something in literature, and you can say to the person, well, I've actually been to this particular city that they're talking about. Maybe it's someone who, in our context, we still have a few veterans who can recall World War II, or who may recall some other global conflict. They can give you that perspective as you read this thing, and the story becomes real. It's no longer on the pages, it's no longer a documentary that you watch, and through some filmmaker you have this life experience. Now, we're fortunate that we have that in our communities, but the elderly still have to have health care. They still need to have financial resources, housing, food, all of these things. Are we as a community ensuring that level of independence, that access to the basic necessities, but even some of the things that you would want to, and if they are golden years, you want to travel. Maybe you live in West Bay and haven't been to East End. Maybe you live in Grand Cayman but never been to the back. Maybe you've always wanted to visit some other part of the world. Are we affording those opportunities?
I would quickly say no. And let me say why I say no. I have been a retiree for
almost 10 years, huh?
Almost 10 years, all right? Cost of living has gone up. Also, the cost of dying has gone up. But the little pension that you have to survive on, it's diminishing, because the cost of living keeps on going up, and whatever cost of living adjustment they make to your pension still cannot cover. Yes. So I speak on behalf of the older persons in our communities, those who never had a pension, those who have to now depend on ex gratia payment, right? Those who would want to travel, those who want would want to live a better quality of life, but because of their limited pension and they have no other source of income coming in, they are not able to do that. And so as a council, one of the things that the council is trying to do is to engage government to see how they can review how pension was and how, if everything could be brought in line with what pertains today, so that the older person who spent 30, 40 years, some people 50 years working their entire lives, now they are still at the poverty level. No older person who has worked his or her life in these islands should be struggling, because, like I said, they have paid their due and they have paid it well.
So Crawford, I appreciate not just eloquence, but the candid, tone. I'm hopeful as a populace that we start to appreciate that if we, God's willing, are able to live, another 5 years, in some cases another 50, we'll reach that age at which now is mandated as retirement age. How would we want to be treated? There by the grace of God go I.
Yes.
Where are we? Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure. Nice being here with you, Dwayne.
Always a pleasure. And as we look at our society, hopefully we'll continue to find ways that we can add value. Well, if you go outside, don't get wet, because it messed my hair earlier, so I don't want it to happen to you. Enjoy yourself.
I can lend some of my hair.
Mr. Herbert Crawford, still the same in the classroom as he outside. We're going to pause though and take a break. After the news, I want you to join us as we talk about dengue. Stay tuned, please.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. Police Commissioner Derek Byrne can now read direct accounts of the actions of police officers, including those from the RCIPS in the aftermath of Hurricane Irma in the British Virgin Islands in 2017. He was presented with a copy of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force book, Irma, an RVIPF perspective, by its author, the Force's Information Officer, Diane Leonard Drayton, on behalf of RVIPF Police Commissioner Michael Matthews. In international headlines, France's lower house of parliament today overwhelmingly passed a bill that aims to give single women and lesbian couples legal access to in vitro fertilization, egg freezing, and fertility medication. The bill passed 359 to 114. It must still go to the Senate for debate. France's healthcare system would cover the cost of assisted reproduction procedures for all women under 43. A European Union official with access to information about the Brexit talks says the major issue blocking a deal, how to handle the Irish border, is, quote, close to being resolved. Negotiators from the European Union and Britain have been scrambling today at talks in Brussels to craft a deal so the UK can leave the bloc as scheduled on October 31st with a Brexit deal in place. An improvised explosive device blows up at an elementary school in Helena, Montana, just before classes began today. No one was hurt, and police say no threat had been made against Rossiter Elementary School. An investigation is underway. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman. Mark down the date of Saturday, November 2nd. Breeze Fusion 2019.
Are you ready? Yeah. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run. Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCBO.
Yes, Cayman Islands, it's back. Your chance to be healthy. Your chance to give back.
Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studio.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K Walk Run.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us. And if I may say a special thanks to our, health officials, those in the health ministry, those at the HSA, for always being not just responsive, but very immediate, deliberate, and timely us as a public to become informed. And I'm grateful that the gentlemen in our studio, no matter how busy and taxing their days are, they always have a chance to inform our public and give us an update immediately. Dr. Samuel Williams, sir, thank you very much for coming on board, and I appreciate it. Together with your colleague, Dr. Lee. If I could, though, for my benefit, my own edification as much as possible, maybe there'll be one or two in the public as we set the stage for dengue and get into that. Could I just get us as a people for two reasons? One, so we understand the hierarchy, to understand the structure, but also that we can encourage more of our students in the sciences and in the medical field in particular, that they can be practicing physicians. They can eventually move up the line and become the Minister of Health. Even though they were a practicing physician, they could become a public policy analyst even though they were a physician. That the sciences, would that be okay? So to give us a little teaser for education, because students are going to be on a holiday break for a bit. Would that be all right? Dr. Lee, could we start with you first?
Yes, hi.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I am really keen that people should come into medicine in Cayman, but I'm particularly keen at the moment, and I don't know if Dr. Williams is going to say the same thing, for anybody wanting to consider public health to consider, because it's often perhaps not a sexy area of health, but I find it incredibly gratifying that the things that you do help the health of thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, depending on where you work, rather than just the single patient in front of you. So I would definitely encourage that.
I think, Dr. Williams, you have over time, whether we're talking about, was it the One World Suppose and One Health approach, or whether we're looking at, the whole idea of how or the World Health Organization or the like can see global health from that perspective. But on the Cayman context,
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne, for having us here. I agree with Dr. Lee. We encourage a lot of our young Caymanians to get into the public health arena. As in medical school, we normally learn how to treat patient one by one as a patient. Public health is population health. We take treating the whole population. I think we are making a big difference, and we have the potential to make a big difference in the health of these islands. From the islands perspective, we do many different things when it comes from a public health approach. And you have mentioned One Health, and we have different groups for antimicrobial resistance and other different groups that we work on, including what we are here today to discuss these cases this case of dengue that have been confirmed on island and local transmission, and then we will try to give as much explanation as we can to everyone in the public, just to clarify any concerns that can be around.
And I think as we look at dengue and we know the notion, would it be best at the outset to maybe ask the question, what is dengue? Talk about transmission, the symptoms, certainly give us a perspective of where we are now in terms of cases and the like.
Sure. Dengue is a viral illness, and it's a vector-borne disease transmitted by a mosquito, a specific mosquito, Aedes aegypti. We do have the mosquito here in the Cayman Island. We have had it for many years. Now, dengue has been endemic in the region for many years, not here in the Cayman Island. And we have had some cases on and off during the years. The majority of our cases are imported cases, because we do receive a lot of visitors from regions in the area that are endemic for dengue. So our surveillance system just survey for these diseases on a regular basis, and we report actually to the Caribbean Public Health Agency on a weekly basis on the number of suspected cases. It's important to know that any patient with a suspected or symptoms suspected of any of this vector-borne disease, I'm talking mainly about dengue, Zika, or chikungunya, this is reported immediately to the Mosquito Research and Control Unit with the address and the location of where the patient live and work for them to take any necessary measure. When it comes to the symptoms, most of these viral illness has similar symptoms. In the specific case of dengue, with usually a high fever with headache, pain behind the eyes, and could have other symptoms like vomiting and diarrhea. Joint pain is also quite common, and a rash can come across as well.
Dr. Lee, when we look at it then from that perspective of dengue, we look at the region, we see the outbreak. Perhaps together with Dr. Williams, I think some of us were under the impression, just for clarity, that we didn't, we had the under control in Cayman. We had eradicated the mosquito. Just for clarity, we didn't. We did. The Aedes aegypti mosquito.
It's a shame that Dr. McNally is not here. I'm sure he'd be good to speak to that point. He may be able to join us a bit later. I don't think I'm not sure we'll ever get rid of the mosquito. By doing what we're currently doing, we'll only ever keep it under control. And there's also the question that if you do actually get rid of a whole species, what is the result of that on the rest of our of the environment and the other biological creatures in it? So it is a matter of control, which is why it's called the Mosquito Research Control Unit.
Now, from that perspective, because there are many who, we've seen the initial press release, can we share how many confirmed cases we have in Cayman? We know,
Well, yeah, I can give you some numbers that we have. And like I said before, we've been checking, surveying these diseases for many years and reporting on a regular basis for many years. So I will give you some data just to put it in perspective.
Yes, sir.
For the year we have, for 2019, we have over 40 suspected cases of either dengue, Zika, or chikungunya, and all of them have been tested. But just to go a little bit back, in 2012, we did have 37 cases in the Cayman Island, 12 imported and 25 local transmission, and there was an outbreak at the time. In 2013, we have 7 cases, 1 imported and 6 local. In 2014, we have 4 cases, 2 imported and 2 local transmission. And the one that is a local transmission are patients without a travel history. So if they don't have not traveled to any of these endemic areas, so it's an assumption that, of course, they got the dengue here. And we do have the vector here. So in 2016, we have 4 cases, 3 imported and 1 local. We didn't have any cases at all in 2017. In 2018, we have 2 imported cases. So far in 2019, and that's counting from January to now, we have 6 cases, 3 imported and 3 local, or 3 patients without a travel history. There are other patients now that we have under investigation, suspected cases, and we will report once we get the result from the tests that have been sent to the Caribbean Public Health Agency.
And that'll probably be in short order because the results aren't that delayed in coming.
The results from the Caribbean Public Health Agency usually will take between 10 to 14 days. Remember, these results are mainly for public health purposes. The management of the patient doesn't really change because the management of this patient is similar. We treat the patient symptomatically. So it is more for public health purpose, and also not even for vector control, because MRCUs inform as soon as we have any suspected cases, and they take the measure right away.
I think I just wanted to add to expand a little bit and say that although we have some suspected cases, as I think Dr. Williams was telling me just before we came, we're constantly sending tests off to the reference laboratory to find out if they have any of the vector-borne diseases. It's not something that is just happening now. It happens throughout the year. Anybody who has the cluster of symptoms, which are all very similar for all of these different diseases, will automatically have a blood test sent off. So it's something that we're concerned about pretty much constantly.
And for those who are listening, those symptoms as you referenced, and maybe you can look at your fact sheet, hopefully people, high fever, the severe headache, these symptoms that you're talking, the patient should have all or the majority of those symptoms, or is it that if you only have one or two, if you have,
Yeah, most of the patient actually is unlikely they will have all of these symptoms. But we look basically at the sequence of things, and any patient likely with a fever and with a high fever and headache and pain behind the eyes, retroorbital pain, more likely this patient will be tested for one of these conditions. If you have a rash, even more, and joint pain, the more the symptom they have, the more likely the possibility that this patient will be positive. And if they have a travel history to one of these countries with an endemic countries, the probability is even higher.
And I think as we've shared too, given that we have a very, very sort of fluid population, people travel to many of these areas, visiting friends and family and vacations and the like, increases the probability. Now, with the 6 cases, that's right, there's 3 local and 3 imported. Would the 3 local have had, and would it, if they did, given a consequence, any contact with those who may have traveled to other countries? Not necessarily the 3 that have been confirmed, but potentially have contact. So just for clarity.
Yeah, it's difficult to know if they have any direct contact. Remember, this is by mosquitoes, so it's not direct contact with person. Out of these 6 cases are for the whole year. So some of these cases are for earlier during the year, so have nothing to do with what's happening right now. We are not aware that this person that we have positive now that have been in contact or with any other person that have been positive. Remember, this disease also, the presentation can be very mild, and not necessarily patient with symptoms would go to the doctor. So it may be some patients or some persons around with symptoms, mild dengue symptoms, and they get bitten by mosquitoes, and then the process starts again. That's the way it's transmitted. So not necessarily, we don't have the information that there's any correlation between any of these cases.
And from that perspective, as a populace, we see certainly the vigilance of the public health sector, we see MRCU, but as people, what can we do? What should we do to assist in the control?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that as well. I always said that in order to control any of these outbreaks, dengue, chikungunya, Zika, the 2 more important groups of the parliament, I think, will be the groups. First will be the public, and secondly, MRCU. But MRCU cannot do their work without the assistance of the public. So there are many things that the public can do to try to prevent this. The only way to prevent dengue is preventing mosquito bite, at least now. There are some studies about vaccine, and we can talk about that a little bit more later. But right now, the only way to prevent getting dengue fever or dengue disease is preventing mosquito bite. The Aedes aegypti mosquito is a mosquito that normally is a urban mosquito, live around the house, inside the house. So make sure that we take measure inside and around the house to prevent mosquito breeding sites, turning up buckets, things like that, and clean up the yard. Those are the things that we need to do as a public to support what the Mosquito Research and Control Unit is doing. And I can assure you that the Mosquito Research and Control Unit is doing a lot. And the public will notice an increased presence of the MRCU during these days, but we need the public also to work with us.
So things like keeping our standing water from collecting, turning over conch shells, even nothing that can collect water for any at a time.
That's correct. That's correct.
We see our parents doing it as children. We wonder what they did, but they were wise and understanding the importance of keeping the yard clean and the like.
I have to say, I moved into a house relatively recently, about 2 months ago, and the yard was full of containers of water, and it was absolutely bug-ridden. And the first thing I did when I moved in was to tip all the water out, and within 2 weeks it was bug free. It was as simple as that. You really have to attend to that and include the things that you might not notice, like the drains and things which are a little bit less accessible where you might need some assistance, but please do attend to those things.
And they'll provide breeding grounds for the mosquitoes. There are some, maybe they're bud scientists, maybe they're just curious, but if we look at mosquitoes, would we be able to look outside and, that's identified as an Aedes aegypti, that is, would it be possible to be able to determine if you're very, very observant?
Yeah, there is, like Dr. Lee said, it's a shame that Dr. McNeil is not here with us today. He may join at some point. But there is a different characteristic between the Aedes aegypti mosquito and the regular mosquito that we see around, and the way it look. It has some white stripes. I've been told that it's very difficult to catch this type of mosquitoes. It's very, and usually the timing also for these mosquitoes is usually in the downtime or early in the morning. So I think easier now that everyone has access to internet. You just Google it and get a picture of the Aegypti mosquito, but it look different.
Just kill it. Don't bother to try.
Just kill it.
Say hello.
Most of the time, by the time you realize that he's there, he already been.
She.
That's true. She.
Always a woman, eh? Anyway, we're going to join our phone callers in a sec, but gents, we just need to pause quickly to take a short break. When we come back, Dr. Lee, Dr. Williams will continue to be our guests. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
As a Caymanian, it's very important to me that projects like this are thought of thoroughly before continuing.
My question is, do we need it? And I've not yet been fully convinced that we need it, nor have I been fully convinced that we don't need it. So
what guarantee do we have that these ships are going to continue to come?
Please make the right decision. Please don't let the catchy songs overturn you. Please support the referendum. Please ensure that you are supporting sustainable tourism, not just money-making tourism.
If the project plans have changed, even though it might be insignificant on paper, it's going to be significant for the environment.
They need to release official information, official facts.
That's where I am right now. I want to know, I want more information on do we need it.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
The 2019 Fall Labor Force Survey and Pilot Census are currently being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office. The Labor Force Survey collects data on the employed and unemployed persons, while the Pilot for Census 2020 will test the questionnaire prior to its finalization. Trained interviewers with ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households in all districts. The interviews are confidential in accordance with the statistics law. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from freedom of information. For more details, please call the ESO on 516-3329.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today in the studio as we continue updating and advising relative to dengue fever. Dr. Samuel Williams and Dr. Lee joins us. Gents, we do have a caller online. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, my friend. How are you today?
Okay.
Hey, thanks for sharing with us, man.
Hey, good afternoon to you guys.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, is there a injection or anything that you can take to prevent from getting this dengue fever?
Unfortunately not. Like many viral diseases, what the doctors or the healthcare workers will do is provide you with supportive treatment, but there is no vaccine that can prevent against dengue. So if you are sick enough to need to be admitted to hospital, they will support you with fluids and any other symptoms that arise, as with any severe febrile illness that gives you a fever.
Okay, and you were speaking about people helping with buckets in the yard not being filled with water and so forth because of the mosquitoes having place to breed.
That's absolutely vital, yes.
Well, I noticed a lot of land, especially now that we've been having a lot of rain. I've noticed a lot of land that is filling up with water, and it takes sometimes weeks before that water settles. And I noticed in those areas there are more mosquitoes in those areas after a while. So I'm wondering if the government are going around and if they're putting any kind of tablets or any kind of poison in the water that is settling around in land around the island. Do you know?
This is Dr. Williams. Yeah, what's happening? We are aware now with all the rain that we have during these days, the low-lying area. We have all these big ponds in the land. However, you will be seeing from MRCU, the Mosquito Research and Control Unit, and they will intensify the spreading with using the plane and other measure. The specific mosquito that transmit Aedes aegypti normally doesn't breathe in these large areas full of water. It's more the smaller containers around the house. Of course, the other mosquito, the one that actually dissolves a lot more, but they don't carry these diseases. They are the one who actually will be benefit for this large concentration of water in land. But definitely, yeah, MRCU will continue to spread more often now, just to combat both the Aedes aegypti mosquito and the mosquito that normally is around.
And also, yes, perhaps to clarify.
Yeah, sorry, caller, Dr. Lee.
Just to clarify that in any pond or natural piece of water, there will be natural controls that will exist there, so that the fish and the other living things around that body of water will deal with a lot of the larvae. It's just in the pockets of water that spring up and then go away where there aren't any natural controls that it becomes a problem, which is clearly an issue in the rainy season.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about ponds that fish live in, you know. I'm just talking about normal land that it's not built. Nothing is built on it. It doesn't have any fill, but it collects a lot of water, and it takes weeks for it to settle.
Yeah, the low-lying marsh areas. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the same area. That's the same area I'm talking about. Like I said, the annoying mosquitoes, yes, but the Aedes aegypti is unlikely that will grow in that type of pond or that sitting water.
Okay, and I noticed, you know, Pilgrim Holiness Church, right? Before the old one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I used to stay right across the street from the Pilgrim Holiness Church, and there were a lot of rat bats that lived in the roof of that church. And every evening, sunset, those rat bats would come out by the thousands, and they would eat up all the mosquitoes in that area. And after they knocked down the church, and the rat bats left that area, the mosquitoes in that area were by the millions. I mean, you couldn't even go outside. So, if the government can encourage or even start building rat bat houses, as you see, like they have on like light poles. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
If government could start building those in certain areas around the islands, that would help tremendously in keeping down the mosquito population. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. So natural controls, as I appreciate the callers sharing their thought, coupled with the the biological and chemical methods used by MRCU.
Yeah, thanks to the caller, I guess. Of course, natural control is a way to combat a lot of these vectors, and then we'll have to see which one are actually more practical and approachable at this time.
We have a question from one of our listeners on WhatsApp. I was asking if there's a practice in some areas of burning leaves and bush and the like. Would that kill off these mosquitoes, or just, as we see, just run them off? Would it actually kill them, or just disperse them?
Well, I'm not an expert in the area, but I think they will definitely disperse the mosquito, won't kill them, and it will affect the environment in another way. Yeah. So we need to try to tackle this situation with the mosquito without impacting our environment in a negative way.
I mean, certainly it's said that mosquitoes don't like strong smelling things, which is why the citronella candle is often used. But equally, there are lots of plants like rosemary or mint, strong smelling, especially the herb plants, that if you put them around your doors and windows, or the places you if you wish to sit outside, the places you'll be, that they don't like it. But it's like all these things, it's all these little bits of deterrent that add up together. So if you're covered, if you have DEET on topically, and you have the plants, I don't find I get bitten very much, but then I try not to stop moving if you keep moving, they also don't like it. So it's all the little bits you put together in order to protect yourself.
Now, from that perspective, we're looking at, as a populace, and some of us would see it, and immediately, we're in our gardens, we're going to check in for standing water, we're looking at our plants, we're controlling as much as possible. Some of us now will become overly concerned. I don't want to use the phrase that there's panic, but there's some. Where are we in this? It's still manageable. We shouldn't really have any great cause for panic and alarm.
Well, definitely no cause for panic or alarm. Concern, yes, we should be concerned about any outbreak of disease in the region. We don't have an outbreak here in the Cayman Islands, as we have mentioned before. We're seeing cases every year, and so far it's no different. We just taking the measure that we need to take in order to prevent an outbreak from happening. Even in the case that we have had an outbreak, like in 2012 with dengue and around 2015 with Zika, and before that with chikungunya as well, we were able to manage any outbreak of vector diseases here in the Cayman Island. I'm very confident that in the case that we will have an outbreak of any of these conditions here on island, we'll be able to manage it with the help of the public, MRCU, the government, and public health.
And I must say, in terms of this is one case in terms of our size, where being small means that we can actually attend to things quick, have a rapid response with the MRCU, and to deal with matters effectively. So in many senses, we're lucky in that regard.
All right, let's just pause and take a short break. We invite our callers to help you to get accurate information, to allay any concerns and fears you have. The phone lines are open. Take an opportunity and call and share your thoughts. We'll again ask our physicians to share with us the symptoms, so the safeguards, and hopefully put us in a position where we have a greater sense of be able to respond in a responsible manner, but one that puts us in a perspective that we're in the driver's seat. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Few people speak up when they witness cyberbullying. Logic is proud to present The Change Project, a 15-minute documentary that captures the reality of cyberbullying and the mental health impact on teens, parents, teachers, and families. It's part of a campaign that strives to make a difference in the community by promoting responsible internet and social media use in the Cayman Islands. Screening is at the Camana Bay Cinema on Friday, October 25th at 7 p.m. Afterwards, please join Logic for a family-friendly gathering at Abacus. RSVP to eventpro.ky.
Does your behavior influence investment decisions? What is the role of the brain in financial decision-making? Find this out and more as Talk Today goes live on the road this Thursday, October 17th at the Ritz-Carlton for the Cayman Investment Forum in partnership with the CFA Society of Cayman Islands. Tune in from 12 p.m. until 2 p.m. as we bring you highlights from guest speakers of this year's Cayman Investment Forum this Thursday, October the 17th.
The government claims the cruise berthing facility won't cost us a penny. It will be paid for by the cruise passenger who use it, not by our people or our government.
The fact is, you will be paying.
Because government is going to give the consortium development team, led by Royal Caribbean and Carnival, a portion of the cruise revenue that is currently being banked by government.
What's more, we will be repaying them
$450 million.
$250 million more
than what the facility even costs.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
For over 100 years, more than 5.8 million people across the Americas and the Caribbean have placed their trust in Pan American Life Insurance Group. We have delivered on our promise and have proven that we're more than just an insurance company, we're family. To learn more about our first-in-class group health and employee benefit solutions, please visit Pan American Life Insurance Company of the Cayman Islands at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Sound Road, Grand Cayman, or contact us at 949-8304. You can also visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us as we continue discussing about dengue fever and providing you with the facts and timely information. Dr. Williams and Dr. Lee joins us. Gents, thanks very much. I think Dr. Lee, as you shared, in the case of Cayman, that relatively small population, relatively small size, can be a major advantage in our instance.
Absolutely, and also, the fact that we are a wealthy country in the region, we all appreciate that. That means that the government can afford to address, to put the resources into the MRCU in order to try and help us manage the problem.
If I may ask, because sometimes we unconsciously forget, not our public officials in particular, but some of us as citizens, there are 3 islands. So when we're looking at Grand Cayman, we're probably thinking the Cayman Islands. Cayman back a little Cayman, for clarity, are we seeing the incidences on all islands or just on one? What can you share with us? And then equally, what are we doing to make sure that...
Yeah, all these suspected cases and confirmed cases are from Grand Cayman. We have no suspected cases from Cayman Brac or Little Cayman. It's my understanding that the Aedes aegypti is not present in Little Cayman, at least not to the extent that can have transmission there.
Mm-hmm.
Just in Cayman Brac, but there's a MRCU have officers in Cayman Brac. And also the advice that go to Grand Cayman is the same that go to all 3 islands. And any patient have any symptoms suggested of dengue, we have mentioned before, they should go to the healthcare provider, and we will collect sample and send it to the Caribbean Public Health Agency the same way that we do here in Grand Cayman.
I think like all diseases, the density of the population is an issue. So clearly, if your density is very, very low, it's difficult. It becomes more and more difficult for the nasty little things to transmit things from one person to another.
And this is where it may seem for some very, very simple, but they prove to be effective. We love our plants in our yards. Sometimes we're not conscious that there may be a practice we have with our rocks, and their waters are pooled in our pots, are collecting water, they're not draining our gutters or other areas. Just go in and check and at least deal with your own little area. Can be effective.
Absolutely, yes.
Wow. You wouldn't think so, huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. And it's important that we are vigilant with the any around the house or inside the house, anything that collect water, to make sure, because those are the breeding sites for the mosquito Aedes aegypti.
I have to admit that I was in somebody's office, I won't say who, in a public building, and they had one of those plants, I'm not sure what it is, it looks a little bit like a cane of some sort. And I saw all the little mosquitoes breeding inside
in the office.
Absolutely, they'd somehow got in there and were breeding away. So you really have to pay attention to these things. Yeah,
I appreciate you sharing that, and I don't think that person would mind, because sometimes we bring these things into our offices, we have them in our homes because they're nice for the indoor air quality. But are they inadvertently and through our inattention providing a breeding ground, standing water collected for the mosquito.
I mean, the mosquito, I could clearly see that there were larvae there. You could clearly see, and they hadn't yet hatched out, so we took action immediately before there was an outbreak in the office. But or mosquitoes get into offices and houses. They do, and then they'll find the water and breed in it. But also things like you might not have thought about, like things like your fountains and things. Maybe you haven't run the fountain for a while, or it's just sitting there. If it's a fountain that you're not intending to drain, then run it, because running the fountain will also
move the water around and the like. Yeah, I guess we're busy, unfortunately, sometimes between work and balancing our family and our community sort of obligations, that we don't get to the yard maybe weekend or a couple of weeks later, and by then the mosquitoes had time to set his larvae, and the next thing you know, we complain that we can't get outside because of the mosquitoes. And I don't know, could be like your experience.
Absolutely.
Go into it now, huh? But from that perspective, though, for the public who sort of concerns, we go outside. We were told at one time, and we just watched the practice of our older folks who would have long sleeves, and they would have on their hats and the like, and they did things not just at night but in the day to protect themselves. A good practice for us to employ.
Yeah, definitely. The sales stand, and it's one of our major recommendations that you have to go outside. Don't wear any dark clothes, because dark clothing also attract mosquitoes. Long sleeve. If you're gonna be outside for a long period of time, then it wouldn't harm. Actually, we're protected to use DIT protection. Just the main important thing is to do anything that you can do in your hand to prevent being bitten by these mosquitoes.
Now, and I certainly don't want to belabor it, and I certainly don't want to panic anyone. Dr. Williams, you've quite, reminded us and reassured us there's no need to panic. Just be cautious. Just be, very vigilant. But if anyone is concerned that they may have been bitten or they may see certain things, 2 questions. 1, please remind us of what symptoms, and then secondly, if we believe that we may have some of these or may have been exposed, what do we do?
Okay, the main symptoms of this, like I said, I will remind again, is high fever, headache, pain behind the eyes, joint pain. Could have a rash as well. Now, these are the regular symptoms of a lot of viral illnesses. I think we need to clarify it for the public to know that there are 4 different types of serotypes of dengue. Once you get infected with one of these serotypes, you will develop lifelong immunity to that particular serotype. However, you're still sensitive to become infected with a different serotype. If you get infected with a different serotype, a second serotype, then your risk of complications are higher. And the main complication is dengue hemorrhagic fever. Now, of course, apart from this symptom that I mentioned now, the patient can have bleeding disorders. And it can go all the way to shock. So it is important to know that dengue, although most of the times it's not a lethal disease, but it could have complications that could lead to death, especially if you are at a higher risk of complication, meaning that you have been infected with one of the dengue serotype in the past. There have been many outbreaks and epidemic of dengue in the Caribbean, in the region, over the years, and usually to serotype 1 and 2. So most of us more likely have been exposed at some point to one of these 2 serotypes. We received confirmation from the Caribbean Public Health Agency that the current outbreak, actually from 2018 in the region, is mainly from serotype 3. So, which was actually predicted by the former director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency. So we need to be careful, because if you have now the infection for serotype 3 and you have been infected in the past for 1 or 2, you are at a higher risk of developing complication.
In particular, hemorrhagic fever in particular.
Yeah, high fever is seen basically in all dengue cases.
Okay.
And as with all illnesses, the categories of people that you may be responsible for or keeping an eye out for, the children or the elderly, or people who for some reason are immune compromised or are frail for some other reason, pay particular attention to them. They may not be able to speak for themselves. And in any case, if you're worried, go to the hospital, go and see your local doctor to be checked up. If they can undertake the test if they feel it's warranted. And also they can give you further advice and reassure you that you're doing the right thing and remind you of the things you need to do, rather than, as you say, we wouldn't want anybody to be worrying. So go and get some advice if you feel that you might have been exposed and are concerned.
Yeah. Also, apart from the hospital, we just need to reiterate to the public that we do have district health center in all the districts. And we have private clinics all around the country as well. So just if there is in doubt, if there are symptoms, just go to your doctor, let them assess you, let them advise you, and let them test you if it's actually applicable.
I think as a brilliant thing, be cognizant of our own health and well-being and do the things that protect ourselves. I can see immediately someone's in our yards just checking our potted plants, looking at a few things where water may be collecting. It could just be one little bucket. It could just be the lid from the garbage can, for argument's sake. We haven't attended it, we can't find it. Go, turn it over. Don't let the water settle. Alright, let's pause and take a short break. Invite you to share with us as you wish. For the public to call 949-8037, or you can do so toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. And if you want to WhatsApp, 925-3261. Chance to continue chatting, informing, updating you, and giving you the timely advice relative to dengue fever. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
The Cayman Islands Credit Union would like to invite the community to International Credit Union Day on October 17th from 1 to 5 p.m. Bring your family and friends and celebrate 44 years of credit union service to the Cayman Islands community. Enjoy an afternoon of food, interactive games, and prizes. Auto and insurance companies also have special one-day only deals. International Credit Union Day, Thursday, October 17th from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac branches.
Cayman Islands Credit Union.
Global service, global reach.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
Mark down the date of Saturday, November 2nd.
Breeze Fusion 2019.
Are you ready? Yeah.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run. Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCBO.
Yes, Cayman Islands, it's back. Your chance to be healthy. Your chance to give back.
Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studio.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Support our port, support our tourism.
So we we saying, Brownie? You looking concerned about something.
It's okay. I hear some people talking about the new cruise birding thing that can cause a lot of harm in Georgetown and Hogstye Bay and even to 7 Mile Beach. They're saying it should be built some other part of this island. Now, what you think about that?
Well, my darling child, our old-time captains had good sense, you know. They know why they chose Hogstye Bay for the harbor. So why go someplace else now?
That's kind of true, you know. But what about the dredging?
Don't you worry, there'll be no dredging in Hogstye Bay. Them piers are going way out in deep water and they're being built on pilings, so all the water and all them pretty fish will still be flowing back and forth.
It's okay. I'm feeling real good about this cruise birding thing now. This is a win for Cayman.
Sure is, Brownie. That's why Asuki supports the port and supports tourism.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us. Thanks for staying tuned and calling in. And thanks equally to Dr. Lee and Dr. Williams for sharing with us as we talk about dengue fever. Gents, we do have a caller online. Hello, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Green and your panel.
And to you, sir. Good afternoon to you.
I heard two little things about the dengue fever and malaria fever. Anytime a dengue mosquito bites you, it lays an egg in you. The dengue and the malaria also. And regardless what treatment you give the patient, it will not kill that. It's only one thing that will kill that, and it don't cost anything much. It's just to get a place set up to do it. And that secret, anyone want to find out what our secret is, they have to contact me. They're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Robert. Now,
thanks for the call. But just to clarify to the public, the dengue and malaria are two different conditions transmitted by two different mosquitoes. So, so just to provide some clarity there to the public.
I think it's important too that when we as a public appreciate that, not only through the district health centers, but public health, but even our private clinics, that we have the resources. We can go if we see any of these symptoms, if we're just concerned, not to get panicked, but to recognize that they're, from what you shared, very easy things we can employ to mitigate. You wouldn't think that turning over your potted plant so that the water isn't collected, or checking your drains, or like running your fountains. Some of us have wonderful gardens, but we don't get time to enjoy it, so the fountain isn't working, and all of a sudden one day you come out there, not only is there a lot of algae, but the pump isn't working and mosquitoes are in full bloom. Making sure that we're doing our little part that keeps our home safer. From that though, what else is there, Dr. William?
I think it's important. As important, we said that we need the public to continue to work with us. And MRCU, we when I say we, I mean the government, the public health department, MRCU, we are also doing other things in order to try to prevent any outbreak of this condition, of this disease, and if there is an outbreak, to be able to control it. Actually, tomorrow we will be having a multi-sectorial meeting with government officials at the public health department in the morning, and that includes the hospital, Georgetown Hospital, also the Ministry of Health, the Public Health Department, the Mosquito Research and Control Unit, the Department of Environmental Health, Tourism, as well as Government Information System and others relevant stakeholders, and basically to plan the way forward, to make sure that we're all on the same page of what we are doing. We have had this meeting in the past whenever we have any possibility of an outbreak of any infectious disease. So it's one of these meetings that we just coordinate and make sure we each do our part. Apart from that, I think I will need to highlight as well that the director of the Mosquito Research and Control Unit, Dr. James McNally, have formed a committee called Aedes aegypti Eradication Committee. This committee is formed by local and international officers. From the Cayman Island, we have representatives from the community, also from the Department of Environmental Health, from Public Health, and from MRCU. And internationally, we have a representative from the Pan American Health Organization, and we have other consultants from the U.S. and Puerto Rico, expert on mosquito control. So we have a plan, and I'm sure in probably another time, the director of MRCU can give more details on that plan. But part of that is working with hazard management on the geographical information system. And they use it, hazard management have been working with MRCU to map the areas where these mosquitoes are, and that way assisting MRCU in the control measure.
Luckily, as I listen, I recognize that we can leverage technology, whether we're into urban planning and figuring out how to, build buildings so that people are accommodated and they're moved. But understanding that, for instance, maybe aggregation of certain things in certain areas could be as a result of correlation of certain things. If we leverage that as a public, we can provide input, but we can also be a part of it. Potential careers and career expansion for people, but some better quality of life and public safety enhanced as a result of the technology.
Yes, and I think also a better use of people's time, so that instead of going around with a clipboard and a piece of paper when having to transcribe this into paper records, being able to have a smartphone or some other handheld device with you means that you can record an incident, whether it be a traffic accident for the police, or whether it be a house where there are mosquito larvae are found. You can record that incident, and immediately that information can be relayed. Let's say that the MRCU plane is taking off at the time. They can be immediately told, to concentrate on this area. So that relieves a lot of people's time to either be more efficient, more effective, to do more. And so certainly also in terms of reporting and planning for the future, to know the geography of where these things are happening is a key tool in trying to improve our control of all sorts of different things across our lives.
I think too, by extension, if I may, and please guide me, once we have our responsible populace who understands the importance of accurate, timely information, you're in your backyard, there's an app you can upload the required data set to say, listen, unfortunately in my backyard I've been away, here is, mosquitoes, and that gets fed in. All of a sudden the whole neighborhood is, input information that adds to the data set, and then you have just like you would if you reported out street lights or potholes.
Absolutely. If you wish to alert, any mechanism, whether you phone public health or you contact the MRCU directly, if you wish to alert in that way from the public, we'd gratefully receive the information and take it forward about any potential risks. In this particular instance, we're talking about mosquitoes, so that the MRCU can pay attention, environmental health can pay attention.
If I then may ask, then we have to continually be mindful that just 3 islands, certainly a little bit of separation between us, be a nice little catboat ride, but a long swim if you try to move from Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac. Good day to go fishing, but a different perspective. If we are here on Grand Cayman and we're trying to make sure that we're not doing anything, whether it's taking over, plants that are infected, think of the mealybug way back when, or whether it's doing something improperly and unconsciously, we're carrying across something, and next thing you know, we've taken over mosquitoes inadvertently. Are there things that we can do on Grand Cayman that would not create a hazard or hindrance or somehow make it difficult for the Cayman or Cayman Brac?
Well, usually the transport of plants or from one, even though it's the same country, but from one island to another is usually kind of controlled what you can take or not. For Cayman Brac, it's basically to take the same measure that we have here, make sure there's no standing water inside the house or outside the house, and make sure that we don't really take anything. I mean, we could take plants. Why not? We're not going to take plants, but we have to make sure that we take care of them the same way that we do here in Grand Cayman. We make sure that we don't have any sitting water, or we turn around buckets, something like that. So the approach in the Cayman Brac, even though the risk is less it should be the same that we have here in Cayman Island.
Don't take it for granted just because you don't have it. And I can imagine in our neighborhoods, go back to the caller initially, who was sharing, we may be taking care of our property. If everybody in the neighborhood does the same, then it reduces the probability that that neighborhood could be potentially a site for a breeding ground. Seems easier.
Expanded neighborhood watch.
I was thinking the same thing. It's about the quality of life and public health. But thanks very much.
Yeah, I just want to mention that now that you mentioned about that, even the MRCU with their limited resources in the past, they had done, and wouldn't be surprised to do again, is go yard by yard themselves and actually check and turn around things and bucket. And so, of course, we know they are limiting staff, so the public need to have that responsibility.
Well, I hope that those who are more senior would have appreciated the efforts of some of the, if they don't mind me referring to as the junior staff in terms of their position, but they were always respectful, they were always diligent. They would come in, and there was one of the gentlemen in particular, he would knock on your door and say, "You mind if I go around the yard?" And he would come and show you little things, and it was helpful, especially to the elderly who may have been wanting to turn over that bucket but just couldn't. So they were diligent, but they were also very, very proactive.
I just wanted to say that it's not just the junior staff. the senior staff of the MRC were all out. They've been working very hard, and we're very grateful for them.
Well, I tell you, we are indeed. And I swear I see public servants, they're just doing this thing and don't even realize that they're going above and beyond the call to do this. Just what they do every day. And it's commendable. I really share that. I've seen them numerous times, just doing little things, not being intrusive, not being disruptive, just doing what they know is helpful, and the neighbors have responded well. So little things that we can do, make it better. Well, Dr. Lee, hopefully we'll have you and your team on from time to time, as we have in the past with Dr. Williams. If we can make the community stronger, safer, healthier, who knows, we might need as many, interventions, because we all do it ourselves.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. Thanks again for having us here. I think this is great. Your program, we all know a lot of people listen to this program, so as long as we can just send information, educate the people what to do, just remind them what to do, because we know they know what needs to be done in order to prevent this. But we're very thankful for being here.
Well, you're very grateful, and perhaps we know, but I think to hear from you that it is actually effective, as simple as it may sound. Our grandparents and our parents did it. They would not let water stand out in the yard. Where there's a conch shell, they would landscape, they would turn it over, keep it dry.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Thanks very much, and keep covered up too.
keep covered up, Someone should take that to heart. Gents, thank you very, very much. May I invite you to have not just a very safe week, but not just successful and rewarding, but take time and let the hair down. Dr. Williams, enjoy it, relax, and make the most of it. Now, to our listeners, when we come back, I want to share with you, we have a wonderful entrepreneur who's continued efforts to involve our people in the fight against breast cancer. Well, I want you to join us when we come back. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Saturday Night Live in Georgetown series returns to Hoxtie Bay. Those who attend the cultural event can expect live music, art, and tapas-style Caymanian food provided by food trucks and stalls from local restaurants and businesses. The Georgetown Revitalization Initiative is part of the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, and with this event it hopes to spark a sense of unity in the community and to showcase what our island and the District of Georgetown has to offer. Saturday Night Live will be held on Saturday, October 26th from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. The son of former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden has defended his foreign business dealings amid attacks by the White House and increasing media scrutiny. Hunter Biden, who has had business ties in Ukraine and China in recent years, told ABC News that he had done nothing wrong, but he admitted to poor judgment, leaving him open to political attacks. And basketball superstar LeBron James has weighed in on a row between the NBA and China, saying a team manager who caused uproar with a tweet about Hong Kong wasn't educated on the situation. In a now deleted tweet, Houston Rockets' Daryl Morey expressed support for pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. He later apologized. Mr. James, the NBA's best-known player, often speaks out on social issues. His latest comments were praised in China but drew anger in the United States. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Rising Stars Dance Ministry is proud to present the annual Dance for Christ, Saturday, November 16th at the Church of God Chapel Family Life Center, featuring visiting U.S. artist Malia Bailey, UCCI Dance Group, Dream Chasers, JJZ Dance Ministry, Dance Unlimited, J Prophet, Famous Cousins, Cernan Biblical, Victory Tabernacle Dance Group, Christ Cathedral Youth Choir. MC for this event will be Cheryl T. and many more local talents. Tickets are only $10 pre-sold, $15 at the gate, and children under 12 are only $5. Tickets are on sale now at Funky Times and Christ Cathedral. Dance for Christ is proudly sponsored by Burger King, Domino's, Wendy's, Link International, Funky Times, and Radio Cayman. This November 16th. Don't miss out on Dance for Christ. Brought to you by the Rising Stars Dance Ministry.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And we're truly honored, and I say this every time she's in the studio because it is just something remarkable about Miss Darla Dilbert. And it's not that passion and enthusiasm which she approaches her business, not just the continued commitment to her community, but it's that, wonderful spirit of empowering others. And through you, Eclipse, and your team, and even the extended family, your partnership with Lions Club of Tropical Gardens reminds us that we owe much to our women. And thank you so much, Ms. Darla.
Thank you.
I was just looking earlier and saying, here's a discussion that we have, and unfortunately sometimes when we talk about health and wellness, when we talk about breast cancer in particular,
Right.
As much as I try to kind of smile, to kind of be positive, it's not difficult to look and see that it's hard to have a discussion.
No, it's a very hard discussion. I mean, we were just having a discussion about cancer while I was waiting to come on a show in general. And it's such a big one. It's so many different areas that you can look at and so forth. It is not an easy topic at all.
Yeah. And I think too sometimes when we hear things all the time, we sort of tune out. Some deliberately, some just unconsciously. Or we don't believe that there's anything
it's going to happen to us.
And then there's that part of it as well.
Right. Or anything that we can do to help prevent
about
it.
Yeah. And but I'm glad that with your can I call it the cutathon? Because I think there's even a better name.
Yes,
It's an event.
cutathon, yes.
That brings not just a sense of celebration and hope, but it brings a community to recognize that collectively we make an impact. There's an energy, without question, on the day. But there is something that is happening to impact the community, because everything that you do is, going to be benefiting the community. By the community, for the community, immediately.
Right.
That makes a difference.
Right, yeah.
It's one thing, and I say that because I have a teacher who shares that she wants her students to appreciate that there are times when they need to go international. They need to raise funds for some orphanage, some charity, some cause, whether it's in the region, whether it's in Africa, wherever that is. But there are times when just right next door to the school, there is a need that we don't know about, we don't see, we don't talk about, because it may be
brush it under the carpet.
Yeah.
In some cases. Yeah.
It is.
We forget that, it all happens right here at home.
Yep. Sometimes it's more evident and more frequent. But with your, your disposition, your approach, we see it. We see the young student who comes and she says, my hair is 50 feet long and I want to cut it all off.
Yeah.
You see the mother who says, I can only afford to cut off my hair 5 inches, because other than that I'll be bald like my husband. But she comes and she
kind
does.
Kind of like me right
now. But we come, right? We come as we are, and we give as gracious and generous as we do.
And more I see kids coming forward and wanting to volunteer to be, sponsored participants. And that's because they have, lost a parent or an aunt or a grandmother or somebody to breast cancer. And I was just, like I said, having this conversation again a few days ago with another, person, their daughter came forward this year, and she lost her mother when she was 4 years old. She still remembers her mother, and to her this is a big thing, to try and help in whichever way she can to give back to persons who are possibly going to be going through similar things to what her mom went through.
And as our physicians remind us, as the Lions Club have been properly instructive, early detection,
it's so important.
Yeah.
And that's my drive around the whole thing, just the awareness and getting out there and getting tested on a regular basis. Not only women, but men also.
Yeah. And then thank you for sharing.
It's not prejudiced to any, gender.
We may call it breast cancer. We may look at it in a certain way, but men are affected, and it doesn't discriminate. And unfortunately, sometimes some people don't see the symptoms because they don't pay attention. They don't get their checks. They don't follow and heed the advice of their physicians.
And most men think that it'll never happen to them. They probably don't know anyone, no other male who's happened to, or a family member. So they think more of it around women. And I do realize too that most of the adverts and the promotions and everything is based more around women. But we have had a few local men here who has passed on because of breast cancer. And so it just shows you that really and truthfully, it isn't picky as to who it decides to host.
It is, right?
With.
Yeah. And that's why I like your approach. Not just the industry coming together, the sacrifice, the time that's put into bringing it together, but when we see the families come out in the community and the level of fun that is had.
Yeah. The energy level is just crazy.
Yeah, the energy. I mean, even me, I let my hair down, I think. And that's what it should be, because that offers a sense of hope. It gives those who, they understand the reality better than most, but for a time, they can live in a moment. They can be reminded of
and feel like they're really a part of something big.
Yeah.
Also, people like that feeling because they're giving back, something to their community. And I know the feeling, and it is just phenomenal when you do it. It's such a good feeling. So I know that all of our guests and all the, the sponsored participants that do come forward, they have that feeling. Even if it's once, in a while, they have that feeling when they're there and they're a part of that. They really feel happy and like they've done something great, which they have done something great. And I commend every one of them in the past and in the future and in the present that have done, their little share to help us along the way.
It makes a difference, man, because getting assistance, to be able to afford a mammogram, for instance, for that person who probably wouldn't otherwise, probably couldn't
been able
afford,
to, right? Yeah. And then, it's not cheap. I'm telling you. I pay for one every 2 years, and it is really not a cheap procedure. So there are lots of people out there that cannot afford it on their own, and insurances out there for some persons aren't to the level that they can, say, okay, it's just a couple of dollars out of my pocket.
But even if it is, that's still money that for some people may say, well, I don't really think I need to at this point. So that X dollars I spend, I could spend it on the children, I could spend it on this other thing.
True.
They don't feel that they can justify it at that time.
Right,
so
because they feel healthy.
Yeah.
And they feel healthy, they look healthy, they don't feel like, there's anything possibly wrong with them or could be wrong with them. So it is,
it's
vicious cycle there. Yeah.
But it's this Sunday, right?
It is this coming Sunday, and it's going to be from 2 until 6 p.m. It's at Eclipse. We're hosting it. And this year, as normal, we ask that you come out with your hair shampooed and wet for your haircuts. We're going to be doing, as normal, women, men, and children. And we also have Robbie Powers, who is a visiting stylist from TG International, which is, Bedhead, Catwalk, all those guys that, that's under the umbrella of TG. He's coming from the Manhattan Academy. Excellent. He's going to be spending several hours on the chair for persons that are just walking in. It's first come, first serve, but you might be the one that ends up in his chair. So come out and help us, raise money with Robbie there alongside of us. And then we also have, which this year I'm extremely excited about, is Michelle Baser, which is from Bosley Pro. Now, Michelle is a certified trichologist, like myself, but many, many years into the field. So she's going to be doing consultations for persons who have scalp problems, any kind of scalp diseases and hair loss. So that's a big, big deal for us. So get in there as soon as possible. She'll only have maybe 5 to 8 slots of doing these consultations, but you're looking at consultations that would normally be several $100s just to see this lady. So get in there as soon as you can. Yeah.
And we know that men probably predominantly have that issue with hair loss, but there's some women who have.
You're going to be surprised. There's in the world today, there's about 60% of the world's population is having hair loss issues. And out of that 60%, there's a fairly large percentage of women who are having, hair loss because of different issues. It could be stress, could be hormonal, could be, genetics. It's a lot of different things that could pinpoint to that. But the figure is a lot higher than what most people think.
And I appreciate that, because I would like our women in particular not to feel, if they do, in a more sensitive or uncomfortable or just very conscious
of it.
Come speak to to her directly and maybe understand the empathy that is there and the professionalism.
Exactly, and how to deal with it. For sure, absolutely. We're also having join us this year too on the floor would be Pure Salon, Focus, who's been with us for many years, and Privy, who's also been with us for many years, and then of course the whole Eclipse team.
There we go, man.
Yeah.
Well, tell us more about it. I think, DJ Lynn, we got a break to take. Is that what you want us to do? And as we do that, we'll come back Sunday, what it's going to be like. Yes, it's 2 to 6, but we'll tell you more how you can be a part of what is involved, the energy, the fun, the enthusiasm, the fact that you empower our community. So when we come back, the cut-a-thon this Sunday, right?
Great.
All
yes.
Right. Dr. Dilbert from Eclipse. Stay tuned.
Hi, it's me, your teenager. So I did an anonymous drug survey at school in 2018. The results revealed that a 13-year-old is likely to try vaping for the first time. And it showed that 3 in every 10 teens have already tried vaping at least once in their lifetime. Over the 3,000 teens that took the survey, 76.3% said that their parents have had the conversation with them about drugs and alcohol. Anyways, I was watching a commercial and this really cute guy said that vaping is much safer than smoking. And he used a vape that looks like a USB and has no smoke. It was so cool.
Contact the National Drug Council and learn about the Parents as Preventers training. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Does your behavior influence investment decisions? What is the role the brain in financial decision making? Find this out and more as Talk Today goes on the road this Thursday, October 17th at the Ritz-Carlton for the Cayman Islands Investment Forum in partnership with the CFA Society Cayman Islands. My apologies. Tune in tomorrow, of course, from 12 until 2 p.m. as we bring you highlights from guest speakers for this year's Cayman Investment Forum this October 17th.
Mark down the date of Saturday, November 2nd. Breeze Fusion 2019.
Are you ready? Yeah. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run. Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCVO.
Yes, Cayman Islands, it's back. Your chance to be healthy. Your chance to give back.
Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studio.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Okay, where Ezekiel is? I can't tell the last time I seen him.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you where old Heart is, because I didn't see her in a long time.
It's okay. She pack up her bags and she gone England, my dear. Claim she gone looking work an opportunity.
Brown Ezekiel gone England to do the same thing, looking work.
Some Caymanians claiming they can't find work here at home, so they're packing up and running to cool Britannia.
Well, that is why we need that new cruise berthing facility. It's going to bring a whole lot of jobs when they're building it and when they're running it day by day by day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. First, they're going to have all kind of construction jobs, and then they're going to need more taxis, more tour guides, more craft vendors, more people working in the shops, more of all kind of jobs. Look here, the thing going to be a major source of employment for Caymanians.
I am sure then both Ezekiel and Old Heart can land a good job doing good work because of this new cruise berthing facility.
Brownie, get on the telephone, call Ezekiel and Old Heart, tell them plenty of work is going to be available in Cayman. Now is our time to shine and truly be Caymankind.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us, and especially wonderful Talk Today thanks to Miss Darla Tilbert. You know, I remember, I don't want to say the early days because looking at you, obviously, still very energetic, very enthusiastic. You have that enterprising spirit about you, so that could have been yesterday. But that passion has always been there for your career and for giving to our community and for encouraging even those of us who may wanted to pursue a certain avenue in the sector, and you still do that to this day.
I try my best.
Well, you know what? You're doing
I don't have as much energy as I used to, but I'm still trying to keep up with everyone and everything. Wow. I myself even grew my hair out this last year, so that I am going to be also cutting my hair on Sunday. It's not quite the length that would be asked for most persons that have come forward to sign up for, volunteer sponsors. But I have confirmed that they'll take 7 inches from me. And so I'm going to do that. Up to date, I've raised about $3,000. But I'm actually going to put that out there today that if someone will match that $3,000, I'll go through this heat, this hotness, and I'll grow it, continue to grow it until our 20th year, which is next year. So if someone will match that,
wow.
$3,000 that I've raised to date, I'll continue to grow my hair until our 20th cut-a-thon.
All right, and that's a big deal. And I want to ask from this perspective, because I gathered this, and there's probably a word for that. Actually, I think I'm familiar with it. People who are accustomed to having their hair short,
right?
They like it short, and the minute it gets to a certain length, it's too long.
They have to cut it.
They have to cut it. I mean, there is this. You can Google it. There's a word for that. Trust me. Right? And so, for you willing to do now, it's going to be hot.
Look at my hair, Dwayne.
I mean, it looks beautiful. I love it.
It's so long. This is the longest I've had it, probably. Oh my gosh.
20 years?
No, in about 15. I grew it a couple inches shorter than this about 11 years ago. And so this long and longer, it's been about somewhere between 15 and 20 years.
I'm saying 20 because I remember, well, back in the day when I had hair too. So you were willing to do that for this cause?
I'm willing to do that for this cause. I'm willing to continue to grow this hair. And believe you me, it's no easy feat.
No, it isn't.
No easy feat at all.
People don't appreciate that. If you have short hair and you've had short hair for as long as you've had,
right,
and now to have it go, even to this length, and some people say, her hair isn't long. That's long.
That's long. It's long for me.
It's long.
It's really long for me. And being in an industry that I am in, the temptation is there every day. And also take into account my age. The heat is really getting to me. And it's not, because I have enough hair for at least 3 people, it's not an easy thing to actually maintain. So it would be a hell of a feat for me to continue to grow.
Are you sure? I mean, because it's not too late to say, no, I was saying that. You need to match it twice over. Because your hair has a lot of body. Is that the word?
Yes.
Full, thick lashes.
Oh,
hair.
yes.
See, I remember it.
Full, thick, luscious hair. Exactly. Full, thick, luscious, healthy hair.
Oh, thank God. Very, very healthy.
Thank God, yes.
But it is something that people don't appreciate. And it is when you live and lead the active lifestyle that you do. Mm-hmm. It's not just wash and go anymore.
Right.
You have to.
It.
And then you were expected to, you're on
I'm
stage.
still expected to look like I didn't exercise this morning.
What's that commercial?
I'm supposed to walk out looking perfect and pretty and beautiful all the time, including my hair.
Yep, and you do.
Oh, thank you.
Very, gracefully, without you make it look effortlessly.
I can say that this has been one of the toughest years I've had in a long time, hair-wise.
Yeah, I've had some rough hair days as well. I have to cut it now. It's almost in my eyes.
But on the other hand, I'm helping many other people gain back hair. So that's
there you go. Yeah. So with that now, we have Sunday. Today isn't Sunday. So someone has to come forward and match the $3,000.
If they can come forward and match the $3,000 that I've raised to date, meaning right now, I will continue to grow my hair for another year and cut it on our 20th cut-a-thon.
They have to come forward by when? I mean,
you probably have until Friday to match that. Because Saturday is going to be a little crazy, and then of course the event is on Sunday. So
contact
if you can,
Eclipse.
Yes, contact Eclipse. You can call 945-1188 or email us at eclipse.ky. That's with a Z, ECLIPZE, and I would be quite happy to wait that extra year. And I think I'm being a little generous here.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
But I'm willing to do it. If I could match it.
I'm actually, if it was such a great cause, I would put money saying, boy, a year in this heat, I don't know. That's enough.
You're going to see it pinned up a lot, but at least, there are many days that I have it the way I have it today. Then I do it curly, and then I try to be as like we said earlier, make it look as pretty and beautiful as always.
The versatility of your hair, right? Straight today, it's curly tomorrow.
Right. Well, just remember every dime, though, that we're raising for this cause, including if you match that money, goes towards the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens for their Breast Cancer Awareness Fund. So none of that money is held back for anything. Everything that we raise, every dime that we raise on the day at the event, and that all the volunteer participants are raising, goes towards the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens.
Stays there for the benefit of the community,
Yes,
raised in
right
the community
here.
for the community.
Right.
And that is wonderful.
Yeah.
And I share with you that energy and enthusiasm, and I commend you for it, because I can't, by any stretch of my imagination, it can't be easy, the logistics to organize.
Oh no, it's not an
must
easy
be like
feat.
herding kittens sometimes.
Not when we're dealing with over 300 non-profit associations these days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, for us as a public, then I'm mindful that you have, unlike some of us, I'm at work. You have to get back to work. Sunday, 2 to 6 at Eclipse in Commander Bay.
Right.
Okay. I would come with my hair washed and shampooed and wet, but by the time I get to the shower, it's not going to be wet anymore. So come with it.
Just come. Remember, we're also going to be doing many manicures, eyebrow threading, $1 a minute massage, chair massage, and we're also going to be doing those trichology consultations. So don't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're having your hair cut, please make sure it's washed and wet on arrival. Remember, first come, first serve. And it is an event that you don't want to miss. And like Dwayne is saying, the energy is just out of this world. You have to experience it. And it's such a good feeling being a part of such a good cause.
Yeah, there's a couple of times when I may call them the students in particular, were there.
Mm-hmm.
And the recognition, they weren't being prompted by anyone.
Right.
They were there on their own volition, wanting to do this. Sometimes with the family saying, well, your hair is so pretty, why don't make it grow? And they knew what they wanted. There was no pressure.
Right.
There was a purpose.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, wow, such conviction at such an early age, such motivation.
I know it. I cry inside sometimes.
I can see why.
I have that big smile on my face all the time, but inside I cry sometimes. When I see the heart that's coming forward from a lot of these persons, and I hear their stories, and it's not an easy feat to keep that smile on my face, but true. I do. Because that's what they need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then there's some fine gentlemen who get involved as well, and they share, and then the wider public.
Right.
There's a guy, I know he cuts his hair almost as regular as someone's shave.
Right.
And for him to wait a couple extra days, he do it just for this reason only.
Right.
And probably a day or 2 later, he go get it cut by his regular person. But it's just another way to be a contributing member of our community. So come out all.
Right, come out all. And just remember, some of these persons that are, sponsored volunteers have done it already before too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never too late to sign up. You've still got a couple of days. If you think you can raise, at least $500 for us still, we're going to take you on still. So give us a call, at 945-1188, and we'll still take you on as a sponsor volunteer. Other than that, if you just want to have one of these services done at one of these great prices that they're out there for, then just show up on the day, and we're going to be booking you, as you walk in the door, and
the chair becomes available, you're seated, and you're coming out feeling like $1 million.
Right. Remember, if you want to see Michelle Bezier from Bosley Pro, try to get there as soon as possible so we can get you booked in there. And I mean, I'm telling you, this is phenomenal to have her join us. I'm really, really, really excited about that. Robbie's been coming with us for the last few years, and I'm really thankful for TG and them to support them to be able to come, allow them to come out to help us, because it's such a good thing to have them on board. But having her especially this year is a big, big deal, and I know so many people out there would like to hear the advice that she could give them around different causes in here.
That makes sense too, because I think, as you shared, whether it's stress, whether it's genetic, whether it's illness, whether it's something else, and you see the beginning of hair loss, maybe you've had it for a while, and it just makes you conscious. Maybe you weren't sure what what can be done to help you.
Yeah.
As a way to get a good expert opinion.
Yes, and for $20.
That's it.
That's it to see Michelle right now.
DJ, then you can spot me 20. I can probably pay you back.
This thing would normally be $320.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just look at me like.
Now you need to really help us get that $3,000 for me to continue to grow my hair.
Yeah, I'm thinking that social group that there's a dress down in the offices. I can think of that one individual or two, just to support the Lions Club. Match the funds. it goes a long way for,
Right.
for providing more mammograms, for instance.
That could help several persons.
And to watch you for a year.
Continue to suffer.
That is almost unconscionable, I think. But you know what? You're willing to do that. That shows you how wonderful you are and the sacrifice personally you're willing to make. Better you than me, because long hair right now.
I will tell you, this week I was thinking, oh my gosh, I can't wait to cut this hair because it's so hot. And I came up with that idea when I walked in here. And I sometimes I want to pinch myself because if I have time to think, I get carried away. But I'm willing to do it.
I think I need to make a disclaimer. When she says so hot, she means the weather. I mean, her hair is too, but it's just
extremely hot. Dwayne, look at all this hair.
I wish
it's way past my shoulders.
I wish I could have got that hair when I was in the mirror. No, it's beautiful hair. And,
thank you.
For you willing to do that, if people out there are willing to match it, you know what? This shows you that wonderful spirit that is in our community.
You just give us a call.
If only Gigi Lynn would say that publicly. I hear her. Sunday, just come down to Eclipse, right?
Come down to Eclipse. There's lots of parking because, most places are closed. And it's at 2 p.m. We open our doors at 2 p.m. and until 6 p.m. The haircutting will probably stop at 5 because that's when all the sponsored volunteers will go on to get their hairs cut or their hair cut. So between 2 and 4:30 p.m. is for the persons that want to get their hair cut that aren't sponsored volunteers. Those are the times you want to get in there. But just remember, wet and shampooed before, because we also have to look at keeping the health of everyone around us.
Man.
Yes,
shampooed up, bring it wet.
Yes. Yes.
Leave it a smile. Well, Ms. Dada, always a pleasure to have you in the studio. Thank you, just for energy, but for the commitment.
Thank you for your support. You've been a great support system for us for a long time, and I'm really, really grateful that you have me come on. I know the years go by fast, but that you have us come on and talk about this all the time.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I appreciate you and your team and the willingness to invest in our community, to offer a sense of hope, celebration of life as it is.
Yeah, thank you.
May Sunday be especially, a rewarding time, and who knows, instead of matching, maybe someone will quadruple.
Someone might, that would be great.
Yeah,
that would be great. Then I'll really suffer through.
It would be worth it then.
Yes, exactly. It would be so worth it, and I know that it would. The part that gets me so much, it's going to help so many people. So many people that are in need out there.
And you're willing to do that. Well, call me when you start to regret the decision, and even though it was.
I'm not going to regret it so long as the person come forward. Maybe 6 months down the line, I'll be like, oh, what did I do?
You have my number. You call me. I'll be there for you.
The good news is once I'm committed, I'm committed.
That is something that we should get you on to talk about, because that's one of the secrets to success, following through with a commitment.
Yes.
And you have that in everything you do.
Yes.
Maybe one day you'll allow me to publicly invite you to talk about that, because
I will.
We don't have that sort of staying power, that stickiness, or stick to it.
I know. We've lost a lot of those arts.
And you have that.
Once I'm committed, I'm committed. I'll have to bear and grin. Grinned and bear? Is that it? Yes.
DJ Lynn, behave yourself. All right, Miss Darla. See you on Sunday, God's willing.
See you Sunday. Can't wait.
On Eclipse.
2 to 6. Come with all your fluffy pink and everything.
A boy from Lynn. He hasn't returned last year's stuff, but he was on the party.
Well, the good news is we have, you want to share this too. We have tons of T-shirts that at the salon that are going for $10. Those persons that want to support in that way, come and purchase a T-shirt. They're at Eclipse right now. You don't have to. Well, I want you to come on Sunday, but it's not something that you have to do if you want to just go ahead of time. We've got a lot of little accessories and so forth that we're also selling. That all of that money goes towards the cause also.
The T-shirts, the polo shirts, the hats are incredible.
We've got really some really nice stuff there.
And thank you for your support too. We'll see you soon. All right.
Thank you.
All right, Sunday at Eclipse 2 till 6 for the annual cut-a-thon. Remember, Miss Darla has put it out there. Match the 3,000 has been raised, and she'll grow her hair for another year. Wow. Okay. Tomorrow we got some good things in store for you as we invite you to be part of the discussion. Join me starting in the morning for the record. Certainly stay tuned for 3 to 6. And Friday, well, Ray Banker will be here. We'll tell you about him later. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.